Here, Trustee Murphy. Trustee Murphy. Okay. Trustee Roney.
Here.
Trustee Ruskin.
Here.
And then Mr. Smith is absent, excused.
Correct.
Okay.
If we can please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have the approval of tonight's agenda. If I can have a motion.
Mr. Minna.
I move to approve the agenda as posted.
Supported by Mr. Cook. Mr. Mena, if you can take a roll call for us.
Trustee Cook.
Yes.
Trustee Hood.
Hang on, yes, sorry.
Okay, Trustee Mena, yes. Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Roney.
Yes.
Trustee Ruskin.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, we have comments from the audience related to agenda items. Seeing no one in our audience, except for Mrs. Holly, who's here to assist us, we will move on to the next item. So next on our agenda, we have the consent items agenda, which tonight includes the approval of the minutes, the regular meeting minutes of March 5th, 2020, the approval of the bills, including the check register for February 2020, purchase card statement for January 1, 2020 through January 31, 2020. If I can have a motion.
Move to approve consent items A and B as presented.
Mrs. Murphy, and may I please have a second? Support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Mena. Mr. Mena, if we can have a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Cook.
Yes.
Trustee Hood.
Yes.
Trustee Mena, yes. Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Roney.
Yes.
Trustee Ruskin.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mena. Next, we have action items. The first thing on our list here is our personnel report. Dr. Kinzer.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. This evening, we have 3 retirements. Roberta Bango, Special Education Parapro at Deerfield. Patricia Hockett, Adult Education Teacher. And Pamela Mansfield, Bus Driver. We also have 2 leaves of absence. The first is Andrea Dayton, Kindergarten Teacher at Parkview. This is a second-year extension of a personal leave of absence. And Ashley Dubio, Special Education Teacher at the middle school. This is a second-year extension of a child care leave of absence.
Thank you, Dr. Kinzer. May I please have a motion?
Move to approve the personnel report as presented.
Support.
Recommended by Mrs. Murphy and supported by Mr. Cook. Do we have any discussion or any questions?
No, I'm just sorry to see Miss Pam retire from busing. I can't believe she's old enough. But she was a great bus driver for my kids.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, Mr. Mena, if we can have a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Cook.
Yes.
Trustee Hood.
Yes.
Trustee Mena, yes. Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Roney.
Yes.
Trustee Ruskin.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Next up for action items, we have the 2019-2020 General Fund First Budget Amendment. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. As has been discussed with the Board of Education at a previous meeting, this is The First Amendment to the budget. The budget was presented last June. As the year goes along, we adjust the budget, and this is the first formal budget amendment that is coming before the board. We had a conversation at our last board meeting about this topic. Ms. Minnick is on the line with us, and so if you have questions that you would like to direct to Ms. Minnick, she would be happy to answer them. If not, we would ask the board to approve the recommendation that you approve the first general fund, first budget amendment as presented this evening.
Can I have a motion?
Madam, but I have my hand raised. I don't know if you guys are.
I do see that. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, Ms. Hood?
Okay. I move that the Novi Community School District Board of Education, in the best interest of the district, approve the 2019-2020 General Fund First Budget Amendment Resolution as presented.
I'll support.
Thank you. Motion recommended by Mrs. Hood and supported by Mrs. Roney. Is there any questions or discussion on this?
I'm sorry, can I get a repeat that I heard Murphy for motion and who was the support?
Actually,
No,
it was Mrs.
Kathy
Hood and Mrs. Roney was our support.
I think it was Mrs. Hood, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry if you can't hear me.
Yes, Mrs. Hood.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, seeing no discussion, Mr. Mena, if you will do a roll call vote for us, please.
Trustee Cook,
Yes.
Trustee Hood,
Yes.
Trustee Mena, yes. Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Roney,
Yes.
Trustee Ruskin.
Yes. Motion carries 6-0.
Can I just say real quick, thank you to Jill for such a great explanation again last week. I think it made it really clear to us for, where the differences were, and I just want to say thank you again to her.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Okay. Next up, we have the contract award, Technology Design Services. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. At our last board meeting, we presented the board with our technology design service proposal. This is for the 2019 bond. We're undertaking approximately $25 million worth of technology upgrades, and we are recommending that we use the same firm as we used in the 2014 bond, which is Integrated Design Services, or IDS. They came, we approached them and asked if they would use the same budget parameters that we had in 2014, and they were willing to do that. And so we come to the board with that recommendation this evening. Ms. Minnick again is here, as is Mr. Donnelly from Plant Moran Cressa. And so if there's any questions about that, either Ms. Minnick or Mr. Donnelly would be able to answer those.
Thank you. So if we can have a motion, and then we'll have discussion if necessary.
I'll make a motion. We don't have one on here, but so I don't know if we need to read the amount. Unless I'm looking, am I looking at the old board book?
You might be. There's the March 19th, and it has a recommendation at the bottom of the page for...
I apologize. I think I was on the wrong.
It's okay.
It looked like Mr. Cook was ready to go, if we want to just go there.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Cook.
I actually lost the page.
Oh, great.
I gotta get it back.
I think Mr. Mena's ready.
Mr. Mena's ready and waiting?
I'll do it. Yep, I move that the Board of Education award the Technology Design Services to Integrated Design Services.
I'll support.
Okay, so motion by Mr. Mena and supported by Mrs. Roney. Are there any questions for Mrs. Minnick or Mr. Donnelly, or any comments?
No?
All right. Seeing none and all is quiet on the screen here, we will go ahead and have a roll call vote, Mr. Mena.
Trustee Cook?
Yes.
Trustee Hood?
Yeah.
Trustee Mena, yes. Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Roney?
Yes.
Trustee Ruskin?
Yes. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Next, we will move on to information and discussion. We have one item in this area. Bond 2019 Contract Award, Construction Services. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin, and I will turn to Ms. Minnick and Mr. Donnelly to present this item for the board. This is the first time the board is being presented with this, so this is information and discussion this evening. It will come back to the board at our April first meeting in April. So, Ms. Minnick.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. With the recent passage of the 2019 bond proposal, the district will be undertaking approximately $120 million of construction and renovation projects over the next 7 to 8 years, requiring the services of a construction management firm. The district previously engaged McCarthy & Smith to provide construction management services for projects funded by the 2014 Capital Improvement Bond Program by competitive bid process. Because this was a successful partnership, the administration approached McCarthy & Smith to gauge their interest in extending the 2014 contract to provide construction management services in connection with the school district's 2019 bond program. The district sought a proposal from McCarthy & Smith, and Plant Moran Cressa, the district's owner's representative for the 2019 bond program, negotiated the terms, conditions, and market competitive fees in conjunction with McCarthy & Smith's bid for the 2014 bond construction management services. McCarthy & Smith's final proposal letter is attached for your review. District administration and Plant Moran Cressa believe McCarthy & Smith's final proposal of 2.0% construction management fee is market competitive, meets board policy, and is consistent with their 2014 proposal with inflation considered. McCarthy & Smith's fee percentage is fixed for the duration of the bond. The Capital Projects Committee reviewed this proposal at its March 16, 2020 meeting. This comes before the board for information and discussion at tonight's regular board meeting and will be recommended for award at the April 2nd, 2020. As President Ruskin mentioned, Mr. Donnelly is with us this evening. Either of us are happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Minnick. And welcome, Mr. Donnelly, again.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
Mr. Mena has his hand up.
Mr. Mena.
I do, thank you, and I'm certainly excited to see that we could make this happen. Certainly to have a vendor who we have a good relationship with, somebody who knows our district, and to be able to really save a lot of time by not necessarily have to go through the entire bidding process and yet get this in at a reasonable cost is really a win-win, I think, not only for NOLA, but for McCarthy Smith as well. So I really look forward to the continued partnership between the district and McCarthy Smith.
Yes, we agree. Thank you. Any other comments, discussion, questions? Certainly, I think if you have any other questions or that you may think of after this meeting, you can send them Mrs. Minnick's way, or and she will get them answered or work with Mr. Donnelly to get information you need. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this board agenda item, the contract award to McCarthy Smith, would come back to the board on our April 2nd meeting. So again, as Dr. Ruskin said, we would encourage you, if you have any questions before April 2nd, to get them to Ms. Minnick, and we will certainly get answers to the board.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Matthews. All right, next we have another opportunity for comments from the audience. The audience is still the same here at the ESB, so we will just move right along here. We're going to move on next to, we have two committee reports tonight. The first one is the curriculum committee meeting that was, that occurred on Monday. So, Mrs. Roney.
We had a very good meeting. It was, well attended. Me, Willie, Tom, of course, was swimming, and but excused. And Mrs. Will came, and then RJ and Dr. Matthews was there. We are looking for a health survey to come out at some point in time. Going to work on updating the health curriculum. We need to do that by state law. And then we were looking at a few other things that need to come before the board. And so that'll be a wonderful announcement when we get there. Willie, anything you want to add?
I think he covers it.
Thank you. Thanks for your report, and we appreciate your meeting and your time. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to the next committee report, which is Capital Projects Committee. Mr. Meno.
Yep. So we met on the 16th, which was on Monday. We actually had a nice, swift meeting, but we did cover a lot of topics, and those included, we had a quite extensive, discussion on COVID-19 and how it may or may not impact our bond schedule. So know that it's certainly something we're keeping an eye on, and any schedules, we'll adjust the schedule basically as needed, if needed. We did discuss the updated visioning meeting schedules. We reviewed the bond scope request log that we created, and started discussions around the planning for hiring a security consultant for the district. We again had additional discussions on the McCarthy Smith contract, which was up on the agenda today, and then we started beginning discussion on the secured entry project.
Thank you. We appreciate your report and your time, and also just to let everyone know that in May we will be having a full report to the board. Alrighty. So we will move on to next item will be our superintendent's report. Dr. Matthews.
Thank you, Dr. Ruskin. On the superintendent's report this evening, we are engaging in school in a different way here in Novi since the school closure. It's been a week. Last Thursday, the governor announced that all schools in Michigan will be closed until April 6th. Here in Novi, we're going to be closed until April 13th because April 6th through 10th is our spring break. We have responded, I think, very well this week. I'll let Dr. Weber speak about some of the learning things that have gone on this week. But in other issues that affect our community, we are still planning on reopening school on April 13th. We have had no additional guidance from the state at this point about reopening, so we are making the assumption that we are still a go for April 13th. If and when the state provides some additional guidance on that topic, we will be sure to let our community know. The difficulty in starting on April 13th, obviously, is that the Michigan testing window begins that day. And so we were aware of that when we made our calendar. Most of the time in our community, we have started school the day the Michigan testing window opens, and since we don't teach to the test, we're not overly concerned about that. This year it's a little unusual because the students will not have been in school for the 3 weeks prior to that. The high school assessment, the SAT, is scheduled for Tuesday, April 14th. What the state of Michigan has told superintendents, we're on a conference call 3 times this week with the Michigan Association of Superintendents and Administrators, and what we've been told is that the federal government has granted a waiver from state testing if your testing window falls within the closure period of your schools. Our testing window falls outside of the closure period, and so at this point we do not have a waiver. What we have been told is that at the federal level, they are looking to extend that waiver to all schools within the United States and not just the schools that are closed, have a closure during their testing window. And so we anticipate that we will be given a waiver. The Michigan Department of Education has applied for a waiver for our testing window, but at this point it has not been granted. And so we cannot give our community any further information on that until we hear from the federal government whether they will grant that waiver. But we have supplied food for our families during the closure period. Tuesday was the first day of food distribution. We distributed over 3,500 meals to community members. Eval Gazzarato and our food service department has done a marvelous job of preparing and distributing the food. We also distributed food in 2 neighborhoods in Novi as well. The drive-through grab and go seemed to work well at Novi High School. No one had to wait an extensive period of time. And the Taft Road lot seemed to provide a nice flow of cars coming in and out during that period. We will have additional food distribution every Tuesday during the closure period. We will not distribute food during spring break, and the reason for that is that we could not get paid for those meals during spring break. We could get paid for those meals if the closure period encompassed our spring break. But since it does not, we cannot get paid for those meals, so we will not be providing food during the week of April 6th through 10th. That is my superintendent's report this evening, Dr. Ruskin.
Thank you very much. Next, I think we're good. Next, we have our administrative reports, and we will start with Mrs. Minnick.
Thank you, President Ruskin. I want to echo what Dr. Matthews stated about our food service team. They really did a marvelous job. So I want to thank Eval Gazzarato and her entire team who worked very hard on Monday to assemble meals, Tuesday to distribute. They received another large shipment today in preparation for meal preparation on Monday and distribution on Tuesday again. That's an important service that we're offering to our students so they can continue to have meal service during our school closure. I also want to thank our transportation department who has provided drivers and buses for those remote locations. We're providing meals in the Pavilion Court neighborhood and the, I believe it's Novi Ridge. And so families are able to visit those look for the yellow buses between, I believe 10 and 11 in the morning, so they can pick up meals at those locations as well. So thank you to our transportation director there, Cindy Valentine, and the rest of her crew, and Eval Gazzarato. Also, our custodial staff is really working hard. Starting on Monday, they began disinfecting and sanitizing every classroom and restroom and every office and space of our school buildings. They completed that task as of late last night, I understand. And so for today and tomorrow, they will continue to touch up places that may have been reinfected or with folks going in and out of the ESB and so forth. We're asking only critical administrators and certain contractors to be in the buildings at this time so that we can maintain the sanitary conditions of the buildings. But we will do another full sweep and disinfection and sanitization of our school building and classrooms so they can be fully sanitized for the return of our students when schools reopen. So I want to thank Justin Chambers and all of our custodial staff for that. Also, our maintenance group continues to operate where necessary. This is a good time over the next couple weeks to get in and do some work orders and some of those critical fixes that are unable to be done when students are in the building. And we will continue to disinfect behind them. So thank you to Mike Jagu and Jacob McDermott. They've been critical to all these facets in order to coordinate teams to facilitate the food service and sanitization and what have you. And also in our business office, we continue to generate payroll, continue to pay our vendors. We're keeping on top of any healthcare changes for our staff. So it is business as usual in the business office, but remotely. So I want to thank the leadership of Deanna Wheeler, who is continuing to maintain our operations in the business office. And that's my report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Minnick. Dr. Kinzer.
Dr. Kinzer?
Sorry, I thought I was unmuted. I'll start over. I'd like to just take a moment to recognize really, really strong leadership from Dr. Matthews. Friday, we dealt with some significant challenges, and Dr. Matthews' calm, rational, and decisive leadership and then effective communication really helped pave the way for a lot of great work, and that has continued this week. Also, we'd like to recognize Dr. Weber and our entire Office of Academics team, and he's going to get into the details of that in just a moment, but watching him lead his team as well as, I don't know, maybe 100 teachers throughout the day and build a model over just a few hours was most impressive. So made me very proud of our district.
Thank you. Dr. Weber.
All right, let's see how this works. I'm gonna click on mute. Hello?
Little sound there. You want to come up here, Dr. Weber?
I'm gonna take this out really quick and see if Is that better?
Not really.
Barely. I guess I should go in another room.
You can come up here, Dr. Weber.
Or should I just go in another room?
Either way.
Either way.
Is that better?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Better? Mobile meeting?
We're having Dr. Weber exit the room.
Hello? Feedback gone?
Feedback's gone.
All right. Super. Hey, guys. 1 second. All right. Feedback still there?
Nope, I think we're good.
Great. So I left all my notes at my desk and in the lobby of the ESB now. It's fine. To say this is unprecedented would be an understatement, but the pride I have in our community right now is tremendous. And that pride comes from really working hard over the past 9 years to build our curriculum and atlas, which then allowed us to make some moves on Friday that were stunning. I wish every parent and board member could have been in the room to see what I saw on Friday, which was 100 teachers pulling together to figure out how we're going to meet the needs of our students and our families. Yesterday was the first information that came out to parents via Schoology or Seesaw regarding a weekly plan for students. And that'll be a weekly plan that comes every Wednesday. Dr. Matthews will be sending a brief survey tomorrow. Basically, I'm going to call it a Goldilocks survey to ask parents, was the content provided too little, just right, or too much? And there's way too many people to thank. All I know is that from a system standpoint, seeing us come together from every facet of it has been inspiring as all get out. We had Allison Bradley on WDIV Tuesday night, teacher at Novi Woods. She represented us very, very well. Ridiculously proud of the team that I work with, and hopefully parents are seeing that the feedback we've had has been pretty good thus far. A lot of anxiety, obviously. So look for a survey from Dr. Matthews tomorrow and his communication out to the community. Yesterday we distributed, probably about 150, 175 computers to families who needed them. That felt really good from a community public school standpoint. As Dr. Matthews mentioned on the food distribution, I think that's fantastic as well. And our teachers miss the heck out of your kids. I mean, if you're a parent watching this, I hope you know, everyone I work beside chose this as a profession or a career because we genuinely love what we do. And not being able to interact with your students, for us not being able to interact with the teachers is quite emotional, actually. And just as we're all trying to struggle with whatever is going on in our world, please understand that your teachers miss your kids tremendously. So that's all I'm going to say right now, because I think the survey is going to hopefully help And one thing we're working on is not bombarding parents with too much communication, hence the Wednesday upload of information to Seesaw and to Schoology, building principals using SMORE to communicate, and then Dr. Matthews sending some sort of brief update every day as our chief communicator for the district, and just trying to not overload our parents and our families because there's so much coming at them right now. Any comments, questions, concerns, or wonderings you might have for me?
Does not look.
No, it does not look like it. I'll make my comments when we go to board communication.
All right, thank you. I'm going to head back to
Thank
my desk. I'm muting myself.
All right, thank you. All right, as Dr. Weber makes his way back into the room, we will have an opportunity for board communication. So if you have something that you would like to share, please just raise your virtual hand and we will call on you.
Mr. Mena.
You're good.
Mr. Mena.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dr. Weber and Dr. Kinzer pretty much said everything I want to say, but I think it's worth repeating. And especially for parents out there who I don't know if they will eventually see, the leadership in this district has been incredible. And don't get offended if I said it was 100% better than I could ever imagine. I mean, I got to come in, sit in a room with probably 40 of the smartest people, certainly 40 people much smarter than I am, coming up with all sorts of things, prepare for the time off here. And I walked away stunned. I was just so impressed. So again, I thank you, Dr. Matthews, for your leadership and for everybody else involved. It was just great. I'm speechless.
Thank you, Mr. Mena.
Thank you very much.
Any other comments from the board? Bobby?
Yeah, well, just real briefly, I want to say, totally agree with Mr. Mena's comments and shocked that he is speechless. I think that's maybe a first. But truly, to see everybody come together, I remember a line from actually the movie Starman. Human beings are at their best when things are at their worst, and it reminded me of that things aren't great right now, but our team pulling together and everybody working towards the common good it was really outstanding. And parents that I've spoken with afterwards, I've been telling them how we are just so fortunate in this district, and teachers in other districts are talking that have kids in our district are talking about how far ahead of the curve we are and how happy they are that their kids are in our district because they are not getting the leadership and the direction that they need. So, kudos to our staff and certainly to our leader, Steve, in directing those efforts. And I know it's been stressful, so I hope you're taking care of yourself now. I do want to say I did attend the play, the state one-act championship play, and it was fabulous. And I know that they are perhaps one day going to come before the board because they are state champions, but it was really a fantastic production and such a I know that the school in Holland that has won numerous times is always kind of the team to beat, and that they have a lot of resources that are utilized, and for our kids to manage to beat them was really a fantastic thing. That is the last thing I went to because then everything got canceled after that. So, but it really was fantastic. So I look forward to the day that we can celebrate them at the board table as well.
Thank you, Mrs. Murphy. Anyone else? Okay. Kathy Hood. Mrs. Hood?
Oh, hey, hi, thank you. I just want to say thank you to our administrators and teachers and everybody who got their arms around this week and pushed and pulled us forward.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'm just going to make a few comments. So in addition to the amazing food services and Yvonne and her team that are just doing really wonderful outreach to our students, there is also the Feed the Need program that's working hard and taking volunteers. They are putting together food and delivering them to different satellites every day of the week. So if you have people in your neighborhood or people that you know of that are in more need than what the school can provide, that is an opportunity that is out there as well. I had the opportunity, I've been talking to Dr. Matthews a lot, and before this meeting I had the opportunity to speak to Representative Crawford's staff. We talked about the importance of open communication. We discussed both their perspective of not making decisions that must be retracted, but also our perspective of needing to plan and concerns for budgets and our families. So the communication is open wide, and we look forward to working with them daily, I'm assuming, or at least weekly, to figure out how this is going to all play out for everyone involved. I don't think anyone has any of those answers. Our board also sent out a communication letter to the entire staff, just reiterating everything that's been said by our board members and how proud we are of the leadership here, the superintendent, the cabinet, school administrators, certainly our teachers and everyone involved, all of our staff members, and how they've led this district in this pandemic. You may hear things from neighbors, concerns, everything isn't going as perfectly as they'd hoped, but nothing is for anyone anywhere, so they're not alone. Are there things that have been missed or that we could be doing differently? Possibly, but be reassured that your Novi Community School District leadership is working tirelessly behind the scenes to keep updated on the ever-changing information and working to communicate on a regular basis. So, as always, if you have specific concerns, you can reach out to Dr. Matthews. You could certainly reach out to one of the board members and we'll get that feedback and information to Dr. Matthews. So, stay well and be healthy and take care of yourself both physically and emotionally. And with that, I think that I get to adjourn the meeting, although it's very weird to just let you all disappear into nowhere land. So, Mr. Mena, first of all, I would ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Mr. Cook and supported by
Ms. Murphy.
Ms. Murphy. And Mr. Mena, if we can get a roll call vote to adjourn the meeting.
You're muted, Mr. Mena.
Okay. Trustee Cook.
Yes.
Trustee Hood.
Yes.
Trustee Mena, yes. Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
She said
Okay.
yes.
Trustee Roney.
Yes.
And Trustee Ruskin.
Yes. Meeting adjourned. Be well.